Dan dia
Tahu dari mana itu kuntilanak?
because karena suaranya itu kayak nyaring dan kenceng banget. Katanya kalau kenceng dia jauh, tapi kalau misalnya dia deket dia suaranya kayak yang samar-samar gitu. Which is alhamdulillah berarti dia jauh waktu itu.
And in my sleep, I felt like my eyes were open, but I couldn't move. And when I looked to my right side of the bed, there was a man.
Tau gak sih, jendela kamar aku itu hordingnya kelihatan. Dan tau gak, aku ngeliat bayangan ada cewek lagi berdiri lama banget. Dan itu kayak jam 2, jam 1-an.
Or he would hear noises from upstairs that felt like, you know, when you open the chairs and it's like creak, and then the sofa banging and the bed is like coming up and then banging back on the floor. You're listening to Tales Untucked, a Tucked Tales special episode. Hi everyone, welcome to our monthly special episodes. This new edition, one that is yet to receive a name from us, is different from our normal weekly episodes because it's totally uncensored, and we're going to talk about our opinions way more in this episode in the realms of supernatural, ghost stories, conspiracy, and anything remotely mysterious. Now, whether or not you're listening in broad daylight or late at night with the lights off, which we actually recommend to listen with our lights off because you can get a full experience. Maybe grab a blanket, a cup of coffee, or if you're brave, just sit there in the dark and let the chill sink in. So, what are we going to talk about today, Dis?
We're going to talk about something that we are very comfortable with and sesuatu yang kita udah pernah sering dengar.
Yeah.
Ghost stories. Dan di episode ini kita akan membicarakan yang pernah kita rasain dan yang pernah kita dengar.
Tapi, just a remark that this episode is going to be mixed Indonesian and English because I'm more comfortable in English and she's more comfortable in Indonesian. But there will be subtitles.
Ya, tenang aja ya guys, kalian bisa nonton video ini dengan subtitle. Oke, jadi untuk ngomongin tentang ghost story aku ini dari background ya, seseorang yang percaya banget sama hal yang kayak gitu. Kalau kamu?
Enggak.
Yeah, you've never seen a ghost before?
I've never seen. Jadi, today, the stories are actually not
Oh, I
mine.
understand.
It's not my stories.
Bagaimana seseorang gak pernah dalam 22 tahun ya kamu gak pernah ngeliat hantu sama sekali?
Dia pikir, I think hantu itu pasti mendeketin orang yang percaya hantu. Ya gak sih, guys?
Iya sih, cause like kita di opposite, right?
Mm-mm.
Kayak kamu gak percaya dan kamu gak pernah lihat, dan
Yeah.
I believe in it and I saw a lot of things.
You should tell me some of those
Okay.
stories.
And I hope this will change your perspective because
Maybe.
this is the truth and I never exaggerate my story.
Beneran ya?
Ya bener, serius ini kayak asli bener-bener terjadi.
Tapi serem gak?
Lumayan. Jadi aku tuh selama 15 tahun gak pernah melihat hantu. Aku cuman kayak takut hantu gara-gara movie, terus gara-gara cerita-cerita orang, gara-gara imajinasi doang. Tapi waktu aku pindah ke rumah mama aku untuk tinggal selama beberapa tahun, mama aku tuh tinggalnya di perkampungan. Dan di perkampungan itu, mistisnya itu sangat ketat. Dan kayak bener-bener orang-orang tuh percaya sama mistis. Ada suatu kejadian di mana mereka selalu ngegaitin itu sama yang hantu-hantu gitu-gitu yang menurut aku kayak dari perkotaan it doesn't really make sense until aku encounter the ghost yang menyeramkan, yang nggak bisa dijelasin dengan logika. Waktu itu tuh aku kan kalau maghrib selalu dibilangin ya di Indonesia, kalau maghrib itu nggak boleh keluar malam, kalau maghrib itu nggak boleh keluar dan kayak diem aja di rumah gitu, karena pada jam-jam segitu adalah jam-jam dimana makhluk yang kayak gitu keluaran, pada kayak berkeliaran. Dan pada maghrib itu, after azan, aku tuh nyetel musik dan aku kayak latihan ngedance gitu. Dulu aku suka banget sama K-pop. Nah, pas aku lagi latihan ngedance, tau nggak? Parahnya, jendela aku tuh dibuka
Sama?
sama aku. Jadi kayak Udah maghrib, udah malam, udah gelap luar, tapi kayak jendela itu masih dibuka.
Okay.
Dan tiba-tiba pas aku kayak lagi duduk, ada suara yang kayak gini. Hai, 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 kayak berkali-kali. Dan aku nggak kayak aku bener-bener takut untuk ngelihat ke arah jendela itu. Apaan?
No way.
Iya, dan itu bukan cuma sekali aja. Ada beberapa kejadian di mana di jendela yang sama. Katanya rumahnya mama aku itu di jalur untuk ke atasnya itu adalah dulunya jalur di mana hantu-hantu yang kayak gitu lewat. Jadi mereka emang ngelewatin jalur itu gitu. Dan banyak penampakan orang-orang lihat di bagian sebelah situ. Nah, ada juga di malam hari, aku tuh kan waktu itu pernah modeling ya. Terus kayak, nah ini tuh zaman-zaman dimana mama aku tuh hamil. Jadi aku sama adik aku yang terakhir itu 18 tahun bedanya. So, mama aku lagi hamil dan katanya orang-orang hamil itu tuh gampang dideketin sama yang kayak gitu. And you know what, Vin?
Kenapa?
Aku ngedenger suara kuntilanak di situ. Lagi tidur. Terus tiba-tiba ada suara kenceng banget. Dan itu tuh kayak langsung buat aku kayak kaget. Aku langsung kebangun. Aku lagi tidur, aku langsung kebangun. Dan besok harinya pas aku kayak nanyain ke orang-orang di rumah, kayak denger suara aneh, gak ada yang ketawa gitu. Terus adik aku bilang, iya dia denger. Dan dia
Tahu dari mana itu kuntilanak?
because karena suaranya itu kayak nyaring dan kenceng banget. Katanya kalau kenceng dia jauh, tapi kalau misalnya dia deket dia suaranya kayak yang samar-samar gitu. Which is alhamdulillah berarti dia jauh waktu itu. Tapi kayak yang bener-bener bikin merinding gitu loh. Serem banget.
Serem sih.
Yeah.
Tapi I always try to find logic.
Dan siapa yang ngomong dan membuat suara-suara seperti itu di malam-malam?
Manusia.
Orang jahil gitu tetangga.
Iya mungkin.
Tapi ada lagi nih. Oke, ini sesuatu yang mungkin kamu nggak bisa bilang sebagai logika. Jadi mama aku waktu lagi hamil juga, pokoknya masa paling sering keganggu itu waktu mama aku lagi hamil. Dan waktu itu kan mati lampu ya. Kan kalau kita mati lampu seluruh rumahnya, cahaya dari luar itu malah kelihatan ya. Kayak bayangan dari luar malah terang. Karena polusi cahayanya udah gak ada gitu. Terus, tau gak sih? Jendela kamar aku itu hordingnya kelihatan. Dan tau gak? Aku ngeliat bayangan ada cewek lagi berdiri lama banget. Dan itu kayak jam 2, jam 1-an.
Kamar lo tuh ada balcony-nya?
Iya, jendela gitu. Serem banget, dia tuh kayak berdiri lama banget.
Kenapa gak langsung buka aja warning itu?
Anjir, ya takut lah. Serem banget.
Serem sih.
Iya. Do you believe it?
You know, I always see like shadows behind my curtain.
Really?
Tapi bukan yang kayak hantu gitu, like
Kayak apa?
pohon.
Don't say anything more, Vin. Aku udah capek. Kita end aja yuk guys.
Why couldn't it be a tree?
Karena bayangannya bener-bener kayak gini. Rambutnya panjang, ada pundaknya, dan kayak lurus gitu.
Langsing dong.
Kayak bener-bener kayak bayangan perempuan aja lagi berdiri. Dan itu kayak gak 1-2 kali dari jendela itu aku ngeliat. Ada lagi kejadian dimana waktu itu aku kayak tiba-tiba gitu ya, malam-malam lagi tidur menyium bau bakar. Terus saya kayak, apaan sih nih baunya gitu. Aku pikir ada hal aneh, ada yang kebakaran atau gimana, kan langsung panik ya. Terus, tapi orang-orang pada gak nyium. And pas malam-malamnya aku kayak lagi tidur dan tenggorokan aku tuh kayak yang diteken, ini sakit banget anjir, sampai aku kebangun. Dan pas aku kebangun aku ngeliat ada tangan hitam kayak gini.
Tangan aja?
Iya, tangan hitam kayak gini. Dan waktu itu aku masih tidur di kamar yang selalu dimatiin lampunya. And after that I never.
So when you sleep here,
Iya.
the lights are all on?
Yeah, I always sleep with lights on after that.
Tapi gak lebih logis kalau seremnya itu if you sleep with the lights on? Karena kelihatan. If you sleep with the lights off, you won't be able to see anything.
I always like have nightmare or like pokoknya selalu dapet gangguan kalau misalnya tidur malam-malam gitu. Kalau misalnya kayak ada cahaya, I feel fine.
But I wanted to tell you a story about my friend, tapi your story made me think about my sleep paralysis. Ingat gak sih? Lu pernah ceritain?
Yeah.
I'll tell you the story, okay? So one night I slept really late, sekitar jam 5 pagi.
Bukannya itu kebiasaan lo.
Okay, this is really late for me,
Oh
okay?
ya?
I slept at like 5 a.m.
Hmm?
But my sister is the type of person to sleep even later than me. Jadi pas
Oh.
ketiduran itu, my sister is still outside in the living room. I can hear her. She's playing PUBG at the time, okay? So she's playing PUBG, dan kalian harus tahu kalau orang yang main game, main PUBG itu pasti teriak-teriakan kan?
Iya.
Teriak, like saying all these bad words. So she actually woke me up, and I woke up, and in my sleep, I felt like my eyes were open, but I couldn't move. I couldn't move. And when I looked to my right side of the bed, there was a man, like just looking over me like this.
Ew.
And I was in panic. I was like trying to ask Arina to help me. In my head, I was like, help, 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 Arina, help. And she wasn't listening. Tapi orangnya itu di situ.
Ih, serem banget.
Serem banget. And
Itu
I
kayak
cannot...
mukanya bayangan doang atau kamu melihat jelas-jelas?
Bayangan. But it's a
Oh,
man.
iya.
And my first thought was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get raped. Like, this is a thief, you know? Like,
Iya.
ini siapa
Gila,
gitu.
serem banget.
But as soon as I realized that I couldn't move my hands, I couldn't move my body, and then I just panicked. And tiba-tiba, the next time I like wake up, it's already morning, and he was gone.
Oh my god, that's so scary. There is an explanation about sleep paralysis, but I still don't believe it.
Really?
Yeah, because like aku percaya sama hantu yang ada gitu, so I still connect it with gosh.
So you think I met a ghost that day?
Yeah, maybe Piam. There is a legend in Thailand, guys, about sleep paralysis is caused by a ghost named Piam.
But even though I'm the one experiencing it, I feel like it's not a ghost.
But bagaimana cara otak kamu bisa come up with that figure, that person, that man?
Because we are very imaginative. I think we are very imaginative creatures. Yang misalnya kalau mimpi itu kan kebawa dari hari-hari yang kita jalanin gitu kan. So I feel like if I suddenly saw even a man outside or something and I sleep, that man is gonna go in my dreams.
Iya sih, aku juga dengar. Jadi kayak alam bawah sadar kita, pemikirannya itu nangkep semua yang sebenarnya otak aktif kita tuh kayak nggak inget. Dan nanti mereka kumpulin di dalam situ dan mereka akan muncul pada saat kita tidur.
So that's what I feel like happened to me. Tapi I think it's still like until this day, it still left a mark on me because from then on I never slept like apa sih yang kayak upright gitu?
Oh, nggak pernah tidur terlentang.
Yeah. So from then on, I'm only sleeping on my side, on my right side or my left side.
Oh gitu.
And when I researched it, they said that it mostly happened to people who sleep upright. Gak tau sih logiknya itu gimana, like why, but I never experienced it ever again after I slept on my side.
Oh gitu. Itu ya guys, jadi kalau kalian pernah ngalamin sleep paralysis atau takut sama sleep paralysis, kalian bisa tidur ke samping.
Yeah.
That's a really good advice.
Do you have any
Jadi
more
belajar
stories?
yang baru. Ada beberapa di mana. Bentar, gue inget-inget. Oh ya, jadi gini, yang tadi kisah tentang aku modeling. Jadi waktu itu mamaku kan lagi hamil ya. Terus kayak mamaku tuh tidur di kamar aku. Terus kayak malam-malam itu aku tuh kebangun karena mama aku tuh kayak ngerasain gak enak di perutnya. Dan aku ikut ngebantuin dong, khawatir ada apa-apa. Dan ternyata gak ada apa-apa gitu kan. Tapi kita berdua tuh gak bisa tidur. Akhirnya aku pikir karena besoknya aku ada latihan modeling, aku kayak mau latihan modeling aja. Jam 2, jam 3 malam gitu. I really put on my high heels and just like walking around my room, and then like my mom is playing with her phone ngeliatin aku gitu. Terus waktu itu kan lemari aku kayak dibuka gitu kan, and then you know what, pas aku lagi kayak jalan berbalik gitu muter seret, aku ngeliat ada seseorang yang ngintip dari
Oh,
kemari
jadi
aku.
pas modeling you doing your catwalk,
Yeah.
terus udah
And then
muternya.
I just turned around and then I was like, I saw a person's face, a girl's face.
Like for a long time.
Aku ngeliat kayak nunduk kayak gini bentuknya. Dan dia di dalam lemari.
Little girl or adult?
Adult.
Berapa lama dia di situ?
Gak tau anjir, aku kan langsung kayak set, aku langsung astagfirullah, langsung gitu kan. Terus aku langsung kayak teriak ke mama aku. Terus kayak kita berdua langsung teriak-teriakan gitu, manggil ke ayah aku gitu kan. But it took a long time, I don't know. Padahal kayak kamar aku itu gak jauh dari kamar ayah aku. Dan harusnya dia ngedenger kan. Tapi kayak lama banget. Dan pas ayah aku kayak bangun, dia ke arah kamar kita. Dan katanya apa coba, dia ngeliat ada ngeblesat putih gitu.
Kabur dong dianya.
Iya.
Oh.
Scary, right?
Your dad said that
Yeah.
he saw.
Mhm.
And then where did you sleep? Did you sleep in your room at that?
At that time, because like we already, it's like kita tuh kayak nungguin ayah dan ketakutan itu ya, nggak berani ngeliat ke arah lemari, dan bahkan lemarinya tuh kayak masih kebuka gitu. Itu tuh kita sambil berdoa-doa, dan itu tuh hampir kayak 30 menitan. Dan akhirnya kayak ayah aku stay in the room, we cannot sleep anymore, dan kita nunggu sampai azan subuh.
Oh iya.
Yeah.
Wow.
Karena kayak kalau udah azan subuh kayak udah safe gitu lah. Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's so scary experiences. Tapi setelah adik aku udah lahiran gitu ya, beberapa bulan masih ada gangguan, tapi setelahnya tuh kayak udah gak ada lagi.
Kenapa nggak pindah rumah aja? Mungkin rumahnya loh.
Iya, kayaknya rumahnya deh. But like, it's not that easy. Rumah itu udah bertahun-tahun kita tempatin dari zamannya nenek aku, kakek aku. So like,
Bukan lo aja yang tempatin.
banyak, iya.
Hantu-hantunya juga.
Banyak hantu dan banyak kenangan. And then, do you have any other stories?
I have one yang I collected just for this special episode. It's actually a story from my friend. So he lives in Malaysia, and when he came to the country, he lived in a 4-story apartment complex. Jadi apartment kompleksnya itu ada 4 lantai. Dan dia rumahnya itu on the very top floor. On the 4th most floor, okay? And in that apartment, it's not like a very nice condominium. It's just apartment complex gitu yang it's fine, it's normal. And on the left side and on the right side, there's stairs going up and down. His house is in the middle of the apartment complex. Every single night, he would go with his family to eat dinner at a neighbor's house on the 2nd floor. Okay, it's like his dad's friend. But whenever he was inside that house, it's usually for dinner, right? So it's like at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And suddenly he would hear noises from upstairs. He's on the 2nd floor. He would hear noises from upstairs that felt like, you know, when you open the chairs and it's like creak, and then the sofa banging and the bed is like coming up and then banging back on the floor. Jadi banyak suara-suara yang kayak, I don't know, like construction or something, like people moving the house. But the thing is, the house upstairs on the 3rd floor, itu nggak ada yang tinggalin.
Serius?
Iya, nggak ada yang tinggalin.
Anjir.
And every time they go to the 2nd floor to eat dinner and stuff, they would hear this. His dad and his dad's friend would go upstairs and knock on the door. Tapi nggak ada yang jawab gitu, karena nggak ditinggalin.
Iya.
So it was really scary for them to the point where they went to the management office, nanyain itu kenapa ada suara-suara kayak gitu kan. And the management office said that actually a long time ago, there was people that lived there. And it was an Indonesian family.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's a family or people, but Indonesian people. They lived there, and the owner wanted them to move out of the place.
Why?
I don't know. The owner said something like, you didn't pay, so you have to
they
leave.
didn't pay rent.
No, but they said, the Indonesian family said that they did pay rent.
What?
So they're like,
So where did the money go?
maybe it's just a ruse for the owner to usir mereka dari tempat itu. Terus mereka marah gitu, like, kok bisa kayak gini, kan kita udah bayar.
Iya.
Like, you can't just usir kita kayak gini gitu kan. And the owner said, I don't care. You have to leave this house. And they didn't want to leave. So because of that, the owner came and brought gangsters to the house untuk kayak apa sih namanya, like
Untuk
take them out of the house.
Iya, untuk maksa mereka untuk pergi.
So these Indonesian people, they didn't like how they were treated. So one of them told the owner that from this day on, nobody will ever be able to stay in this house ever again.
I see. I really like that. I will also do that.
Nobody
I would also do that.
really?
Yeah.
So they said nobody will be able to live in this house ever again. And when they left, they actually left a bottle.
Oh, really?
Kayak glass kaca gitu. Bottle at the end of the room. And they like use black magic and curse the place and stuff. That's why when they left, nobody really stayed at that place anymore. There was this one instance where the owner's relatives, they came to stay at the place, and they would sleep and they would hear noises in their living room, like a chair being dragged and like sofa being moved, and they kept sleeping. But up until the point one night their bed moved and levitated and then
Oh my
went down.
Itu kuat banget dong yang ditaruh di sana. Itu tapi udah parah banget sih. Kayak aku ngerti kalian dendam dan sakit hati digituin. Tapi ya di Indonesia emang banyak banget orang-orang yang lakuin black magic karena motif sakit hati. That's why. Mamaku selalu bilang ke aku. Mamaku kan kayak percaya sama yang gitu-gitu ya. Mamaku selalu bilang, mau gimana pun kamu jangan nyakitin hati orang karena kamu bisa dibahayain kayak gitu. Dan kalau yang black magic itu kan pasti susah banget ya. Like, I understand gimana. Dan aku juga pasti kayak bakalan nakut-nakutin ngomong gitu. Tapi kayak parah gak sih sampai berkepanjangan gini?
And I was like, oh, what a coincidence that these people were Indonesian people.
Yeah.
Yang banyak kasus-kasus gue dengar cerita ya, they love black magic and all that, right? So continuing the story, the owner's relatives, they moved out. They said, I cannot live here anymore. And no matter what, the owner couldn't find anyone to live in that house.
Oh.
Because of these things that's happening. Jadi gak ada yang mau tinggal di situ.
Maybe we should visit their place.
I want to visit.
Yeah, let's visit that place.
I want to visit. Let's visit. But I don't know where. I have to ask him again. But after that, the owner felt like he has such bad luck, right? Because nobody is coming to stay at his place. So what he did was he locked up the place. Lo tau gak sih pakai gembok-gembok chain yang gede itu?
Oh yeah.
So he locked it up and then he went back home to his village.
Oh.
And not long after that, he passed away.
Oh my god, he already passed away?
Langsung meninggal kayak in a short period of time.
That's suspicious.
And so the management was telling my friend's dad and him these stories, and they said that's why that until now nobody actually lives in that house, but they keep hearing noises from that house. And he gets so freaked out because every time he would play with his friends downstairs, kan mau balik ke rumahnya itu tingkat 4 ya. Jadi dia naik tangga harus pass by tingkat 3 itu.
Ya.
And that house is on the right side near the staircase. So every time he would
harus ngelewatin.
Yeah. So he would run up. There was this one Malaysian guy that was renting the house with them. So like his housemate or roommate. Ini yang temannya yang di tingkat 2 itu ya.
Yeah.
Every night when they hear these noises at like 12 midnight or 1 a.m., yang orang ini nih, he would be on his computer playing illegal gambling or whatever, online gambling.
Oh my god.
But then every midnight he would be choking.
Choking?
Kayak dia kayak
dicekek gitu.
Iya, dicekek.
Itu bahaya banget.
Sampai dicekek-cekek gitu. And they brought him to the hospital many times.
Tapi dia nggak apa-apa.
he said that he was like, don't bring me to the hospital. Don't bring me to the hospital. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And when they brought him to the hospital, dokternya cuman bagi apa kayak respiratory itu, wap. Tapi dia bilang dia nggak bisa nafas with the wap.
Oh my god.
So
Sumpah.
he went back, and then every night he would be like choking, getting choked and stuff.
Kasian banget.
And at this point, my friend was still young, so every time that this happens, his mom would take him away and go back to his place. But that's why he doesn't know much details about it. Tapi the Malay guy was just getting choked, and he said that they brought imam.
Oh yeah.
They brought imam to try to help, and he said that there were forces or spirits that's like choking him, and it's because of like a revenge motive. So he needs to go somewhere else. He needs to go out of the house and not tell anybody where he's living. So from then on, abis kontraknya itu abis, karena dia kan renting gitu, dia pergi, and he keeps moving hotels to hotels.
Really?
Because the imam said, don't let anybody know where you are. And apparently, because he moved from hotels to hotels,
People knows.
no, it didn't happen to him anymore.
Oh, ya. Tapi kayak yang aku pikir waktu orang Indonesianya bilang kamu akan menyesali ini dan aku nggak bakal ada yang nempatin ini, aku pikir kayak it's just ancaman biasa doang gitu. Yang aku juga bakal ngelakuin, tapi kayak untuk ngelakuin itu sampai separah ini parah banget sih. Apalagi kalau misalnya sampai ada korban jiwa, itu astagfirullah.
Yeah.
Itu dosa banget.
Yeah.
Gila.
And then also the imam said that he has to let go of a contract. So basically he's from Malacca. It's like 2 hours away, right? From KL. And he had purchased some contracts. It's like an auction. Jadi contract itu dia menang. And the people apparently was mad that he won the contract, so he did black magic on him as well.
Oh iya.
That's why he let go of the contract. Once he let go, he was fine again.
Katanya emang kalau misalnya kayak persaingan bisnis, politik itu pakai magic gitu. Iya. Parah banget ya.
Yeah.
Manusia-manusia ini.
How do you feel about that?
Kasian, sumpah. Apalagi kayak itu bakalan jadi trauma berkepanjangan untuk dia kan. Kayak dia gak bersalah apa-apa. Dia cuma salahnya tuh kayak salah milih tempat. Dan do you think katanya yang kayak gitu itu kayak ter-attract atau mereka tuh lebih suka ngedeketin orang-orang yang enggak sholat, enggak yang lakuin hal-hal buruk, mungkin gambling gitu salah satu atraksi magnet untuk hal negatif gak sih?
Maybe, but I feel like that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Karena banyak yang kayak serial killer yang gak diganggu gitu.
Yeah.
Kan dosanya paling banyak kayak serial killer.
But maybe they are, but they just don't realize everything.
Maybe.
Yeah. Ada juga cerita di mana kalau ini maghrib lagi, selalu kejadian banyaknya tuh pas aku ngelarang sesuatu di maghrib. Jadi ada juga cerita yang aku ingin bagikan ke kalian. Ini mungkin kejadian yang terakhir yang pernah aku rasain. Jadi waktu itu maghrib juga ya, aku tuh lagi pergi ke Indomaret. Dan kayak Indomaret sama rumahku tuh jaraknya cuma tinggal jalan kaki aja. Dan aku tuh ke Indomaret tuh dari kayak pas masih cerah langitnya, tapi pas aku keluar itu kayak udah yang maghrib azan gitu loh. Nah, seharusnya itu aku buru-buru untuk sampai rumah. Tetapi kayak aku tuh kan ngelewatin beberapa rumah kosong gitu ya, yang selalu aku kepikirin kayak, ih rumah ini pasti ada hantunya gitu-gitu. So aku tuh kayak yang ke depan rumah hantu, terus aku bilang gini, kayak nyeplos, bener-bener nyeplos bilang gini, kayaknya lagi pada banyak orang nih di sini gitu. Terus aku pulang ke rumah, terus kayak malamnya itu aku kan tidur, tapi aku kayak lapar gitu loh. Terus akhirnya aku kayak, waktu itu mama aku lagi berkunjung ke Bekasi, jadi dia kayak nginep di rumahku ini. Ini waktu aku masih tinggal di Bekasi. Terus aku kayak, mah mau anterin kakak nggak bikin makanan ke bawah? Terus kata mamaku, ya udah, dia juga mau ngambil minum. Terus pas kita udah sampai bawah, tiba-tiba ada bau sampah yang kayak bau bangke banget, kayak sampah basah kayak yang dibantar ke bank gitu loh. Terus kayak aku kan sama mama langsung kayak lirik-lirikan gitu, "Ih, jorok banget, jijik banget, ini kok sampahnya udah sampai berbau kayak gini nggak ada yang buang," gitu kan. Terus akhirnya kayak kita jalan ke dapur, salah satu tong sampah yang ada di dalam rumah, dan kita lihat sampahnya apa coba, bersih yang baru diganti yang cuman plastiknya doang. Terus kayak aku kan langsung kayak nengok-nengokan gitu kan, terus aku kayak bingung, "Kok ini kosong, ini dari mana?" Terus aku langsung berpikir, "Oh mungkin ini dari udara luar kali masuk dari jendela-jendela." Terus, mmm, aku tuh kayak di belakang rumahku, jadi kayak masih di dalam rumahnya tetapi dia kayak terpisah gitu ya, ada pintunya lagi ke ruangan luar, ada tong sampah juga di sana. Nah, terus aku langsung jalan ke sana terus kayak nggak ada apa-apa. Waktu itu aku jalan sendiri, tong sampahnya itu tuh kayak bersih banget dan tiba-tiba aku tuh nggak nyium bau apa-apa, dan pas mama aku nyamperin aku, baunya nyamperin juga. Jadi kayak ngikut gitu loh baunya. Terus akhirnya kayak kita langsung kayak, "Oh ini mah bukan bau-bau biasa, ini mah kayak bau sesuatu, makhluk." Terus akhirnya kayak kita langsung lari ke atas dan dia kayak nggak bisa ngikutin dari tangga gitu.
When you walk, the wind will come with you. So maybe it's not that the spirit is like following your
No,
mom.
but like terus kan gini ya, jadi kan, my mom approach me to the place I was in, terus dia kayak yang aku langsung nyium bau gitu, terus aku langsung kayak lari lagi ke dalam gitu kan, kayak mau ngecek lagi hal-hal yang lain. Dan pada saat itu, baunya itu kayak ngikutin aku. Terus kayak mamaku kayak bilang, "Kak, baunya udah gak ada." Aku masih nyium baunya gitu. Terus jadi kayak mereka tuh ngikutin gitu loh. Antara ngikutin aku atau nggak ngikutin mama aku.
Sampai sekarang.
Enggak lah. Gila aja. Gitu.
Banyak banget ya cerita hantunya yang di rumah
Iya.
itu. Only
Enggak sih.
happens there.
That only happened once when yang terjadi di Bekasi, tapi kalau yang di Bandung banyak.
Ya, yang di Bandung banyak banget.
Iya, banget.
Why?
Karena Bandungnya aku tuh kayak bener-bener Bandung kampung yang beberapa rumah di belakang rumah mama aku juga itu adalah kuburan. Banyak banget kuburannya. Terus kayak di sebelah rumah mama aku juga itu rumah kosong yang katanya ada.
But you know, I've lived in front of Highland Tower. Do you know what Highland Tower is?
No.
So Highland Tower in Malaysia is a set of 3 towers, condominium. Tapi satunya itu, what is it called? Fell.
Oh iya.
And so a lot of people died. A lot of people
Oh
died.
my god.
Itu tragedinya gede banget sampai negara-negara lain
Ngebahas tentang itu.
not just that but sent rescue teams to
Really?
Malaysia. It was back in 1990.
Oh my god. There must be a lot of people.
You know what? I'll show you.
Okay.
So the problem with this was because of the water. Kan di Malaysia itu sering hujan ya. And this was built like at the bottom of a hill. So whenever it rains, the water flows underneath the thing and it pushed the apartment complex
Fondasinya.
to fall. So when this happened, a lot of people died.
Gila.
And I lived in front of this.
Oh
Like,
yeah?
you see these houses?
Hmm?
One of these houses is mine.
Terus kamu gak pernah ngerasain apa-apa?
Sumpah enggak.
How?
I don't know. So I've already lived in a place where people always say it's haunted. Sampai ada dokumentarinya. You know how like a lot of teenagers, they like to film. They will go to haunted houses and they film. And then ada yang kerasukan gitu. But when I was living there, I didn't feel anything. Is it like, you think it's like mentality or strength or what is it about?
I think it's mentality. Because I heard kalau misalnya setan tuh lebih suka ngedeketin orang yang takut sama dia. Jadi kayak ada magnetiknya gitu loh.
Imagine like imagine these ghosts come to me, right, and try to scare me and I'm like, oh no, that's just a tree.
Terus kayak ghost itu kadang kalau dimarahin, dikatain gitu dia mereka bakal kayak pundung gitu loh, bakal sensitif terus bakal pergi.
Oh iya. Sumpah. Kata-katain aja tuh setan.
Iya kayak pergi lo. Oh iya, astagfirullah, maaf ya guys, tapi kayak pergi lo, udah bau, ngapain di sini gitu. Nanti dia kayak ih parah banget nih manusia.
Kok gak takut sih?
Gue ganggu yang manusia lain aja gitu kali.
Sumpah kayak gitu.
Ya, banyak kok yang suka marahin setan gitu, terus setannya beneran pergi.
Yeah, my grandmother said. Ingat gak sih waktu lo ngomong sama nenek gue di Indo? Oh, she would say like, if I feel anything, I'll be like, pergilah, kan gitu. Pergi aja gitu.
Karena kodratnya manusia kan di atasnya makhluk seperti itu kan. Jadi kayak ngapain kita sih takut, tapi tetap takut sih. Karena kayak mereka serem dari kayak bentuknya, mukanya gitu-gitu.
Kadang-kadang gue kan, I'm not like a god or anything. Of course I get scared.
Ya.
Kalau misalnya abis nonton film-film hantu gitu, pasti imagination gue itu kuat banget. Sampai di mana-mana aja pasti ada
Kelihatan gitu ya.
So I
Same.
know, but I feel like I know that it's not really
Real?
It's in my head. Jadi kadang-kadang kalau misalnya gue lagi ada feeling kayak gitu, I feel like, oh my god, there's someone there. I'll just look at it like this. Tuh kan gak ada.
Terus gak
And then
ada.
I'll just leave.
Oh my god. Kalau aku kayak kalau misalnya ngerasa ada sesuatu, aku langsung kayak kayaknya beneran ada.
Misalnya nih, if I feel something in behind me, I'm like,
Demi apa?
because I know it's not there. I know
Oh
it's
my
my imagination. So in order for me to believe and kayak udahlah jangan pikir-pikiran macam-macam gitu, I'll just go look at it.
Oh. We are so different, Finn.
Yeah.
Finn.
But unless it's like a real criminal, then I will get scared.
Yeah.
Atau cicak, kecoa gitu tuh, that's my weakness.
But like imagine kalau misalnya mata indera keenam kamu dibuka, kamu ngeliatin kayak gitu, kamu bakalan percaya nggak? Kayak kita harus ngebawa orang yang bisa yang paranormal gitu untuk membuka mata kamu. Kalau nggak masukin tubuh kamu jadi medium, kamu kerasukan.
I mean kalau emang bisa kayak gitu pasti percaya lah. Like if
Yeah.
I don't believe after all that, itu kayak udah keterlaluan banget gak sih? If I see a ghost and I still don't believe. But right now I've never seen one, so it's like I always feel like your mind is able to play tricks on you. So maybe ghost is like one of those tricks your mind play.
Kadang-kadang aku juga suka kayak berpikir, ini asli gak sih yang aku lihat? Tapi kayak gak bisa dijelasin juga secara nyata, karena kayak nyium bau yang gak enak kayak gitu, yang kayak sampah. Kok bisa tiba-tiba otak aku nyiptain ciuman bau seperti itu, dan itu dicium sama orang selain aku juga. Terus kayak ngelihat bentuk seperti itu juga di malam hari, kayak kalau itu tetangga kok iseng banget gitu. Dan kayak masalahnya bentuknya tuh perempuan. Kalau misalnya di kampung-kampung desa gitu kan jarang ya ada perempuan yang keluar malam-malam. Kayak asing, kayak takut ada apa-apa.
Jadi hantu itu lebih suka daerah-daerah kampung ya?
Iya, karena kok di sana mereka kayaknya lebih dipercaya gitu deh.
Iya sih.
Terus kan kayak lebih banyak pohon-pohon. Jadi kayak kan pohon-pohon alam itu kan tempat menetapnya mereka.
So you think that the story of Kuntilanak is real?
Yeah.
The origin story? I actually don't know what the origin story is, tapi kalau misalnya lo percaya hantu itu ada gitu kan, but Kuntilanak isn't it just an urban legend?
I don't think it's only an urban legend. Kalau misalnya kamu mau ngomong itu urban legend, dan bagaimana faktanya banyak orang yang pernah lihat itu semua. Halayala. Dan katanya mereka itu manusia yang mati karena kayak mereka tuh lagi hamil, terus kayak mereka meninggal gitu. Atau keguguran. Pokoknya kayak mereka melahirkan anaknya, terus kayak meninggal, atau enggak kayak kandungannya itu janinnya masih ada di dalam tubuhnya dan meninggal, terus jadi yang kayak gitu.
Kayak menak.
Terus katanya kayak kalau misalnya ada orang yang meninggal, wanita hamil meninggal seperti itu, kakinya tuh harus dipaku. Iya, kaki. Dipakuin kayak
Why?
ditusukin paku. Jadi mereka nggak bakalan jadi hantu yang kayak gitu. Serem ya?
Yeah. Serem sih. So kuntilanak itu bukan satu hantu ya, banyak hantu.
Katanya kuntilanak ada beberapa jenis ya. Ada yang kuntilanak merah, dan kuntilanak merah katanya lebih dahsyat kekuatannya.
Oh iya?
Iya.
Merah karena
Bajunya mungkin. I've never seen it. Tapi kayak dia yang digondong-gondong sama banyak orang tuh yang lebih serem. lebih menakutkan, lebih berbahaya.
So kuntilanak is not just an urban
Kayak
legend.
kalau kamu ngomong tentang hantu gitu, kamu pasti berpikirnya oh satu gitu. Tapi enggak, mereka tuh kayak spesies gitu loh. Kayak kucing rasnya ada ragdoll, ada Maine Coon, kayak gitu-gitu.
And in like ghost mindset, anyone can be a ghost.
I don't really know. Kayak kalau misalnya anyone can be a ghost, aku takut meninggal dan jadi hantu.
Tapi bukannya kalau if you only have revenge atau yang nggak mau pergi ke afterlife
Oh
gitu, bukan
iya,
sih?
aku baru dengar aja kabar. Ini desas-desus di kampung mama aku, biasa loh. Orang-orang desa di sana gimana katanya. Jadi waktu beberapa tahun yang lalu ada jembatan gitu kan, yang agak jaraknya jauh. Tapi ada orang yang bunuh diri di sana dan katanya sekarang itu ada hantunya gitu di situ. Jadi kayak kalau katanya kalau di Islam ya, setahu aku bunuh diri itu kan gak diterima ya, karena udah tidak menerima takdir atau semacam seperti itulah. Pokoknya sama aja kayak kita give up dan nggak percaya sama Tuhan, sama takdirnya.
It's like one of the biggest sins,
Yeah,
you know.
it's one of the biggest sin. Karena kayak segala cobaan pasti Allah telah memberikan kemudahannya gitu. Tapi kayak kita give up dan kayak memutuskan takdir kita seperti itu. Dan katanya mereka nggak terima dan akhirnya mereka masih menetap di alam manusia, menjadi sosok yang nggak bisa kita ituin.
Jadi yang bunuh diri itu ya.
Iya. Atau enggak kecelakaan gitu-gitu.
Di Thailand ada kali ya, namanya apa ya? It's like someone who dies from accidents and stuff.
Ya,
I don't remember.
katanya juga kalau misalnya kayak seseorang meninggal kehilangan anggota tubuhnya mereka bakal mencari-cari kayak gitu.
Mencari-cari tubuhnya.
Iya.
What if we just give it to them?
No, cannot. Serem ya. Aku nggak mau meninggal dan jadi hantu. Tapi kalau misalnya aku jadi hantu, aku pengen ngerasukin orang-orang, terus nanti aku minta kayak minta hal-hal kayak oh beliin aku cake, beliin aku tiramisu, beliin aku tas Chanel.
Tapi nggak bisa dipakai juga.
Ya nggak apa-apa buat seneng.
If I become a ghost, I think I'll be really sad.
Ya.
Kayak sendirian gitu nggak sih? Like I'll just cry and stuff.
Iya. Dan katanya Gosh bakal ngulang kejadian-kejadian kematiannya mereka. Kayak mereka tuh kalau manusia hidupnya kan selalu berubah karena waktu, kayak akan berjalan maju. Kalau mereka tuh kayak stagnan, waktu mereka tuh kayak bener-bener stop di sana. Walaupun tahun udah berlalu, tapi mereka kayak tetap aja kayak gitu-gitu, nggak bisa berubah. Kayak masih terus ngingat kematian mereka, masih terus-terusan sedih atau gimana gitu katanya.
Then what happens to them?
I don't know. Itu kan kayak yang aku tahu katanya. I have a lot of like stories, ghost stories that kalau misalnya kita ngomongin tentang ghost stories, aku punya banyak connecting the dot but I still don't have
Full picture. But ultimately, believing in ghosts is also like faith. You have to believe in ghosts.
Do you have any other stories?
No, that's it. Do you?
That's it. I think that's it for now.
Yeah, if we have more, we'll make more episodes.
Yeah.
But I think this episode has gotten very long, actually, for our first episode.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Tapi aku penasaran deh, apa pendapat kalian semua dari pembicaraan kita hari ini? Kayak pastinya kalian ngedengerin kita ngebacot, ngomong yapping, pasti kalian kayak punya pemikiran sendiri. Kalau kalian kayak ingin menambah ide kalian bisa tulis di komen ya.
Dan kalian kalau mikir like I'm too skeptical about everything, you can try to change my mind, but don't hate me for not believing. But
she just grow in different background, guys.
Yeah. But if there's more stories, then maybe I will believe in some form or shape. But I guess that's all for our first episode. Don't forget to follow our social medias. And if you want more special episodes, it only comes out once every single month. But we have other episodes that you can watch every single week on Tuesdays and Fridays. Bye bye!